Okay, so this is English 101, week 7, part 6. And again, valuable for all my classes. So, um, I guess my point about people helping you is if you're writing a paper for science class on a kind of medicine, and your friend who is studying to be a doctor, you ask that friend a question, and they answer you, and you use their information in your paper, do you have to say you got it from your friend? Yes. Why? Because people in med school, that's not general information. That's not things everybody knows. That's something doctors know. So it's not something everybody's aware of. So you got to say where you got it from. Now, if you do quote your friend who's a med student in your paper, I'm going to make, it's not plagiarism. If you tell me they got it, you got it from them. It's not plagiarism, but I'm going to ask you to quote something more reliable. For example, like, don't quote your friend, quote the textbook your friend learned that from is the better way to do it. But the point is, anybody who helps you, you gotta give them credit. Now, I will say one other thing: you can't plagiarize from yourself. So that if you, and it's particularly interesting for online learning, which is something that I've realized now that we're all learning things online. If you write something in a discussion board comment, can you use the discussion board comment in your paper? Like if you made the comment, say about Plato, and then you write about that same quote in your paper, can you steal your own discussion board comment? Yes, you can. You absolutely can take that. That's not plagiarism. Plagiarism is what is plagiarism? Plagiarism is taking other people's words and ideas and making them look like they're yours. Your discussion board comment is your words and ideas, so it can't be plagiarism because you're getting it from yourself. That said, um, which means that if you write an essay for my class and then you try to turn it in for somebody else's class, it's not plagiarism. It's not plagiarism. I mean, the teacher might not like it. It might not fit the assignment, and I think technically you're supposed to get if you reuse papers, you're supposed to get the permission of both teachers, but that never happens. And anyway, if you ever want to reuse papers you wrote for me, I'll always give you permission. Um, but the point is that is you can't plagiarize from yourself. Meaning you're free to reuse your own discussion board comments, free to use paragraphs from previous class. If you wrote an essay for the class and you want to take a paragraph from that essay and chuck it in an essay for me, totally fine if it fits. Sometimes usually it probably doesn't fit, but if for some reason it does, you can do that. Okay, cool. So I think that was plagiarism. I'm going to say more about plagiarism. But for now, I would like you to, everything you've learned so far, I want you to picture a box in your mind, a metal box. And I want you to take everything you've learned about plagiarism today, and I want you to put it inside that box in your brain. Then I want you to close the box and lock it so the information stays in there and stays safe. Because I'm going to keep talking about plagiarism. But what I say next may confuse you, and I do not want it to confuse you. It's my attempt to make learning about plagiarism kind of fun. So for right now, put that in the box and keep it safe, because I don't want any of that changing. So I may say something in the next 10 or 20 minutes that makes you realize that this is more complicated than I made it seem. But what I told you so far, what I told you before now, is your plagiarism lesson that you will need to keep safe in your mind, not just for my class, but for all future classes and for life. Okay, you got that? Everything's safe? Sure? Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to start talking crazy shit. Um, that's plagiarism in school. Plagiarism in the real world is tricky and complicated and messy. It should not be messy in school. You need to keep it straight and make sure it makes sense to you. Don't let this screw up. Keep all the information in that metal box. Keep it safe. But in the real world, this is tricky. Let's go over some real world examples. It's very common, for example, for people to, on social media, for example, somebody might make a joke on Twitter, and someone else, look, did you ever do that thing where someone tells you a joke, and then, like, the next day you tell someone else that joke? Oh, I heard this funny joke. But you see how you didn't say where you got it from? Now, it's pretty normal to do that. People tell jokes to each other all the time. Just share jokes, right? You tell a joke to somebody. What's a pirate's favorite letter? And then usually the person goes, R. And then I say, you'd think it was R, but actually, 'tis the C. It's funny. Anyway, that's a joke. I heard that joke. I don't even remember where I heard that joke. Maybe it was on a television show. I have no idea. But I tell that joke. Now, it's possible sometimes when I tell that joke that people think I made it up. I didn't make it up. It's just a joke. Or I'll do this. This is because I get visual. This is like visual. So I do this joke for small children when I see little children. Like you ever see a kid on the subway staring at you or at a restaurant or something? And I always do this joke. And I go, okay, I'm gonna do a magic trick. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, 1. Watch close. 2, 3. Oh, 1. This is for 3-year-olds. 1. Boom. So it's a joke. Now I don't remember where I got that from. Honestly, it might have been from Family Guy. I don't know where I got that from, but I do that all the time, and I do not explain. Well, I saw that on season 11, episode 2 of Family Guy. Like I don't, you know what I mean? It doesn't come with a footnote in the real world. You just tell jokes, and you hear a joke and then you tell it, and maybe the way you tell it makes it sound like you invented it. There's a lot of it can be sometimes you can go if you just go, I heard this joke the other day, and then you tell it, then I know you didn't invent it. I know you got it from somewhere else. Now you didn't say where you got it from, but I at least know you're not claiming you invented the joke. But with that thing with my fingers, I don't explain to small children where I got that from. It's just something I do to entertain them. But I stole that from somewhere, and I'm sure a lot of those kids think I invented that. So probably some of the parents think I invented it too, because I also don't tell the parents where I got it from. It's just a funny thing to do, because it would be weird if I were to give people a little card explaining where I got that joke from, right? Like this is not a formal academic paper, but still, I have taken something that's not mine and passed it off as mine. It's sort of like plagiarism. Now, in society, that's a pretty normal thing to do with jokes, right? Where you hear a joke and then you just tell a joke. You're entertaining your friends. But this gets sketchy in the world of comedy in New York City, because New York City, like LA, is one of those cities where comedians live. And comedians will go to bars and have an open mic night or whatever, or a comedy show, and they'll tell jokes. And these are like I'm not talking about famous professional comedians. I'm talking about local comedians that live in your apartment building and they want to be famous comedians someday. But right now, they're just going around to bars and clubs and things in New York City and telling jokes. Well, the problem with this is that sometimes when you go to these events for comedians, the other people in the audience are also comedians. They're supporting their friends, right? Well, you can see where I'm going with this. What happens is suddenly those comedians will start stealing jokes. So you tell a joke on stage at a bar one night, and somebody gets it in their head, and then they start telling that same joke at a bar some other place, some other night. And sometimes they will be like, well, whatever, that's how jokes work. You hear a joke, you tell a joke. But comedy is an art form. And you have taken someone else's words and ideas and you are presenting them as yours. That's plagiarism, right? Or you read a joke on Twitter and it's funny. And again, this can happen too, where you read a joke on Twitter and then after a while, like that thing with the fingers I just did, I forget where I got that from. So sometimes you can just like be in the world. There are sentences that I say to be funny sometimes. And like, I don't remember where I got this joke from. So like, sometimes I'll call my wife on the phone, and she'll pick up and say hello, and I'll say, oh, hi, it's Jeff from work, which I think is really funny because we're married, so she knows that when we work together, so she knows that like she knows who I am. You can tell from the phone, but I think it's funny to say, "Is Jeff from work?" as if she doesn't know me. Now I got that from somewhere. Where did I get that from? I have no idea. Or I heard a joke on 30 Rock. Where someone gets introduced and they say, oh, this is this person. So I say, oh, it's really nice to meet you. And he goes, I'm delightful. That's a funny joke. And it's from 30 Rock. It's from the first episode. But sometimes when people say to me, oh, it's nice to meet you, I go, oh, I'm delightful. And I think that's really funny. But I don't always tell them where I got it from because I forget. And, we're just moving quickly and it's not super important. I'm not getting paid for this material, but still, it's a little plagiarizing. It's plagiarism, really, even though it's a normal, everyday part of life. Here's the thing, it's still plagiarism. It's if you are when someone says nice to meet you and I respond, I'm delightful, I'm passing off someone else's work. Tina Fey is the author of 30 Rock. I'm passing it off as my own, like I just thought of that. And it would kill the joke if I had to supply a footnote every time. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of times I just don't say where I got that from. I just pass it off like a joke. And if someone asked me, I would tell them. But it would be weird to be like, and sometimes I will be like, oh, that's a joke. If they mention it, I'll be like, oh, that's a joke from 30 Rock. I've been saying it for 10 years. Okay, so we're going to get into some more weird examples soon. So I'll see you guys in the next video.